Most people have uncertainty.
Right.
But most people have it at a bigger level than the people who already know what they want.
We're so afraid to make the wrong choice that we make no choice. The only wrong choice is making no choice. Nothing grows on the fence. You gotta make a decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. Alan just ripped his ear off, so he is now Van Gogh. Today, for episode number 610, we hope you enjoyed our latest episode, What You Never Learned in School About Money. Today,
Powerful.
Today, for episode number 610, overcoming uncertainty. So, between group coaching, other clients, and I've been trying to get on the phone with listeners as much as humanly possible, I've realized very quickly that the biggest kryptonite to taking action is uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know why you're doing something, if you don't know the result you're going for, if you don't know that you're capable of doing it, or if you don't understand or believe in your heart of hearts that it will be worth it to get there, you most likely will not take action.
Right.
Uncertainty, I believe, is part of life. I mean, at the end of the day, Dave said this. He said a lot of people are saying we're in very uncertain times right now. He's like, we're not any more uncertain than normal. It's just exponential. It's faster.
Yeah.
Things are just changing faster.
Right.
And that's a very important distinction because we have no idea what's going to happen today.
Right.
Like the building could get struck by lightning right now.
Right now.
And we could be jeffed. Luckily, it's brick and we should be good. But I do believe that at the end of the day, most human beings are certainty driven. I know I am.
For sure.
And that's one of the reasons why this entrepreneurial journey has been so difficult is because there's very, very, very little certainty.
I think all human beings are certainty driven.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you don't feel safe, of course you're going to be freaking out and not thinking and planning for your future. I had a breakthrough that I want to share with the listeners.
When was it?
Just now.
When I was speaking?
Yeah. I get a lot of those when you're talking.
Like I should get paid for those.
You should.
I don't.
I mean, technically you do.
Eventually.
In a way, yeah. So I remember you and I talked about this episode, and we went through, so just to give you behind the scenes, Kevin and I went through our future together earlier today. We went through 2020. No, we went all the way back to 2019. We actually went back to 2018, then 2019, then 2020, 2021. We went all the way to what, 2026?
I believe so, yeah.
2027, something like that. And the future of our financial future. So like the business, all that, growth. And why don't more people go to the gym when they should? Why don't more people save money when they should? Why don't more people invest money when they should? Why don't more people, make better decisions in general, especially future-oriented decisions? I think it comes down to uncertainty. Like you said, people don't believe it'll be worth it. Mm. Here's how I make sure. This is how I think I make myself know that it'll be worth it. I invert it. Let me explain. I am certain if I don't go to the gym, I will regret it. I am certain if I don't invest in this business, I will regret it. I am certain if I don't get up and answer these emails or WhatsApp messages or help the team, I will regret it. I think I'm just more certain of the alternative. And the reason why is because in my car accident at 26, I had tons of regret. And I know that you, at the suicidal moment at 26, you had a lot of regret. Mm-hmm. I think what it did is it took our certainty. We are certain that if we fail in this business, we will regret it.
For sure.
So we're willing to do whatever it takes, no matter how hard it is, to succeed because we're certain we'll regret it if we fail. And I wonder if other people have that, Kev.
Have you ever heard the saying, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't?
Right.
That's certainty. The devil you know, you're certain of. The devil you don't know, you're uncertain of.
So how do people deal with uncertainty?
I think there's a lot of different ways. I think for most people, it's, my normal answer. My normal answer is put myself in pain of like, clarity comes first. At the end of the day, if you're uncertain because you're unclear, that has to be the first step. Because you can do all the stuff in the world. You can have all the habits. You can track all the habits. You can listen to all the books. But none of that stuff's going to resonate with you if you don't know what you want. I genuinely believe that uncertainty, most people have uncertainty.
Right.
most people have it at a bigger level than the people who already know what they want. You and I are uncertain of a lot of things.
For sure.
But it's not what we want to do with our lives, and we're blessed. We're blessed, genuinely. I feel like we're privileged in that.
For sure.
Right? That took me almost dying and Alan almost dying, but
yeah,
I know that not a lot of people, if you were to ask, I don't know, a room of 100 people, what do you want to do with your life? I don't know how many people would actually know, this is exactly what I want to do, this is my purpose, and that's fine. But how do you
create certainty without that answer?
You got to find the first step. Yeah. For me, okay, somebody asked me this recently. Somebody said, like, how did you get started in podcasting? Like, how'd you find your thing? And I said, I remember Alan had a podcast, and shout out to Cope Daddy. Cope Daddy and I have been DMing. You and Cope Daddy were hanging out at his, Andrew Copeland. I was like, Cope Daddy doesn't sound like a real name. You were supposed to be doing an interview, and you guys were going to interview me for your podcast at the time.
Right.
And it kept getting pushed off.
Yep.
And I was like, come on, guys. Like, I want to get interviewed.
Right.
Like, interview me. Come on, let's do this.
Right.
That was my first step. I didn't know I wanted to be a podcaster.
Yeah.
I had no idea I liked talking, and there was no microphones at the time. Right? So, like...
yeah, that's right.
What are you certain of? Because I think we're focusing on what you're uncertain of. Yeah. What are you certain of? I don't want to work the job I'm doing. Cool, awesome.
Good.
What would be one step improvement?
That's what a coach does. They give you more certainty.
Because they can see around the corner.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I can tell you right now, if you woke up on Monday morning and said, oh, shit, another Monday, I hate Monday, okay? But you're uncertain of what you want to do with your life, you're certain that you don't like what you're doing. So you're not as uncertain as you think in this weird way.
Right.
And I don't... You and I have very crystal clear visions of what we want, and most people don't, but it's like, sometimes I think it's more important to know what you don't want.
It's so important. That's where you start.
I think that's the only place to start.
Matthew McConaughey talks about this in his speech. We're not born and then it's like, I know who I am.
Right.
No, it's I go out and explore and I learn I know who I am not.
Yeah.
And the people who, it's this weird thing though, Kev. I've done a lot of exploring in my life in terms of the persons, places, things, and ideas. This book, I got the whole spectrum, man. I mean, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all the way from like relentless of like all you do is grind, work is everything, all the way to spiritual, just frolic in nature, it's all good. And neither one of those is right or wrong. It's just the spectrum. I've tried being an athlete, I've tried being an intellectual, I've tried corporate, I've tried entrepreneurship. I'm like a living, breathing experiment. And I've tried so much stuff in my life. And I wonder what's interesting is that's created certainty. Mm. I'll use an analogy. This will be a simple analogy. You go into the shoe store. Have you ever tried flip-flops? Have you ever tried Crocs?
No.
I know. Have you ever tried Adidas versus Nike versus high heels versus... You don't want to try every shoe on in the store. That'll take your whole life and you'll never dig in, right? Pick a pair of shoes at some point, right? But this is that optimal stopping problem of like, when do you choose what shoes are your shoes? And you don't know until you try a few pairs. And then eventually you start to hone on, like, I really like comfortable Nikes. But if you never tried flip-flops, how do you know you don't like them? So this is the dichotomy. People who are very certainty-driven need more certainty in order to try new stuff, which if they don't try new stuff, they have less certainty about what they really want. Mm. One of the reasons why I'm so certain about Emilia and I's relationship is because I did so much exploring. And I don't mean so much in a negative sense. I mean, she's not the first girl I dated. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I do think that some people, they don't do enough of like how do you know you want to live where you live if you've never traveled? How do you know you want to be a podcaster when you've never podcasted? Mm. How do you know you want to be an athlete when you've never tried basketball versus football versus baseball versus frisbee versus whatever? Like, I think that my early life, and that's why when you're young, you're supposed to be kind of, I don't want to say reckless, but you're supposed to explore.
Explorative.
You're supposed to be explorative. But if you're certainty driven, those people don't explore as much.
I would say that for me, for sure.
Right.
I mean, I didn't go to college.
Right.
I didn't have any of that experimentation in, the party scene, any of that, like that social experiment. Like, I never did that. So that's something that I never got the benefit of having necessarily.
And so you're probably less, it's very fortunate that you're so certain that this is what you want.
But I wasn't always, and I think that's I want to make sure. That's a good question. I want to make sure that I don't do the listeners a disservice by saying how certain we are, because yeah, sure we are now, but I wasn't always.
Same.
I wasn't always.
Yeah, I was lost.
I remember. I think what happens, and I could be way off on this, but this was what it was for me. When I became certain of what I wanted, I was uncertain of whether or not I could succeed. And I think that's where a lot of people are. It's like uncertain on how to get there, uncertain on what to do. I don't think most people are actually uncertain on what they want. They just don't believe it's possible. They're uncertain on whether or not they can actually get the result. Understandable.
Okay.
I know I was. But I was laying in bed in New Hampshire.
Well, of course you're going to tolerate anything then.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah.
I was laying in bed in New Hampshire watching Joe Rogan and Duncan Trussell talk about how, like, if you're miserable, you should change something. It's like, yeah, easy for you to say, Joe, like, you're a multimillionaire. But then it landed of, like, but that's something. Like, that's something. That broke something free in my brain of, like, I'm certain I don't want to do what I'm doing. I don't know what I want to do. I'm not sure what I want to do. But I'm certain me getting up tomorrow and driving 6 hours to New Jersey is not what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Right.
I have no idea what I want to do. I started listening to things that made me think more. Like, I started listening to things that questioned my beliefs.
Right.
And, like, this person did it.
Right.
Like, this person did it. Like, why could they do it?
When you said that Joe Rogan said, was it Joe Rogan who said that?
Yeah.
He said, if you're miserable, you should change something?
Something like that.
How obvious is that?
The most. But when it's somebody like that, it's like, oh, interesting.
Now you're saying that to people.
I know.
How cool is that?
But it's cool, but not if I don't know what to say next. It's like, of course, change something.
Imagine Kevin's listening right now.
Yeah.
What would get him to realize? That's so simple to me. Like, if you're miserable, change something, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't, that's unintelligent. You know, you only get one life. Like, what can you say to that Kevin who didn't believe? You're right. Belief is the most important thing.
I don't know. I don't know that you could have told me anything. I was at
but
the
it
point,
worked. They did it for
but
you.
it worked over time. I think the things. I'm telling you, I still believe that I got somewhat lucky, and this is part of my identity as a human being. But I got somewhat lucky of, like, I was surrounded by you. I was surrounded by Matt. Like, I had really good people in my life.
I don't think that's luck, man. It's
well,
not luck.
What fate, whatever you want to say it was, or I attracted you in, whatever it is. I think
No,
that
you sought it out. You
Well,
sought it out.
It didn't seem
You're the
like
one
that.
who made that interview happen, man.
But it didn't seem like that. And I just want to make sure that I'm not. One of my biggest fears, our biggest fears, honestly, is that we give bad advice based on the fact that we forgot what it actually took.
Right.
That's a huge fear of ours.
Right.
Right? Like, I don't want to give you advice based on, if you're listening to this, give you advice based on, like, yeah, I don't know, I just wouldn't have worked so hard. It would just,
Right.
I would have
And
taken
by
it
the way,
easy.
if you think Kevin and I are a little bit hardcore, you're out there listening, that's part of why. We
Yeah.
refuse
Yeah.
to lose sight of what it has required of us to find. Like,
For
if
sure.
you're lost, that's fine. Admit it.
Yeah.
And start searching.
We
we
all
were
are.
we were exactly. It's just to what extent.
Yeah.
I am way less lost than I've ever been.
Same.
But I'm still pretty lost in certain regards. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just less lost than most. And even then that doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're trying to. When I was 15, I had no idea what I was doing.
Same.
I knew I wanted straight A's, and I knew I wanted to be an engineer, and I knew that I was good at video games, and I knew I liked basketball and snowboarding.
When I was 25, I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And it's false to think that grown-ups know what they're doing. They don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest issues for our listeners that we've seen is not everybody has people in their corner trying to lift them to the next level, and even the people who are trying to help don't always know how.
That's why Kevin and I created Next Level Group Coaching. It's a 3-month program on teams of 10 with all people committed to achieving their goals. Click the link in the show notes for more information.
And we only take 10 people at a time, so make sure you get in quick.
No one's all-knowing, and you have to know that. But you have to know that some people know more than other people.
Yeah.
And you have to choose those and look out for them. Like, genuinely, and I talk about Emilia a lot, she is far more found. She's less lost than I was at 26 by a significant margin, partially because she's around people that know way more than I was around back then. it's important to understand that Emilia is sincerely less lost than most people in their 40s. Swear to God. Statistically speaking. It is what it is. But she's still lost to some extent. It's just much less. And by the way, she's way less lost than she was at 16, than she was at 12, than she was at 7. We're all just trying to figure this out. Some of us are just figuring it out way quicker.
This is the question I would say. Okay, what are you certain of? If I said to you, like...
Right.
Because the frame of this episode is like uncertainty on a grandiose level of like, I don't know what I want out of my life, right? Like every decision we make is uncertain. If you want help making a decision, best case, worst case, most likely scenario. That's a Tim Ferriss thing.
And I'm certain not taking action is the wrong answer.
Yes.
That's the key.
Yeah, and I think that's a Air Force thing too, or
it is.
something like that, right?
Yeah.
But the question I would say is, if you had to be certain of one thing, what would it be?
Right.
Right now in this moment, I love animals. Cool. Let's get clear on that.
Cool.
What can we do with that? Well, I could. That's it.
There's apps where you can literally babysit dogs.
For sure.
And you can make an income.
For sure.
Perfect.
Honestly, that sounds like a pretty dream job, honestly.
Right. That's what I mean.
might
There's so many.
moonlight on
My
that.
ex-girlfriend was going to do that. She wanted extra income. She loves animals. Boom.
Right.
There's opportunity all around you, but if you're uncertain all the time, you won't see it. What are you certain of? We've got 9 minutes on the clock. I just want to ask you. So, because Kevin's an experiment, so am I. We're all here to help you. What are you certain of? There's a book by Oprah Winfrey called What I Know for Sure. After thousands of Oprah shows, interviewing thousands of people, she wrote a book called What I Know for Sure. And I love it because it's like you realize pretty quickly there's only a few fundamentals. This universe is governed by very simple principles, but it takes a lifetime to understand them. So what are you certain of?
I am certain that working for somebody else is not for me. I'm certain of that. I know it's soul-sucking. Like, it's soul-sucking.
Okay. Everyone listening, think about how different Kevin's life will be with that one certainty. That means that Kevin will do anything he can to not work for someone else.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I have that too. That's why Kevin and I work. That's one belief. That's one certainty. Okay,
Yeah.
What's one other certainty that you have? This is powerful. I've been playing a game called Truth or Dare, True or False, with my clients. Powerful.
Interesting.
We got to do an episode on that. So
That's the fire.
Yeah.
What else am I certain of?
Yeah. What else are you certain of?
What else am I certain of? Helping other people lights me up at a level beyond almost anything else.
Okay. So far you want to work for yourself, and you want to help other people. Perfect. What else are you certain
And
of?
that's always been the way.
Yeah.
Genuinely, that's always been the way. What else am I certain of?
Yep.
I desire at a very high level to be financially free. I don't want to say I need to be, but like I desire at a very high level to be very financially free.
More specific.
I need to be able to do random acts of kindness with large amounts of money, like donating $3 million at the drop of the hat. Like I have to be able to do something like that. I want to be a billionaire. That's that's my
Okay.
That's the certainty part of it, but like there's deeper reasons why. So I want to make sure it's not just the vanity part.
Right, of course. Okay. So far, you want to work for yourself. You are certain you don't want to work for anyone else.
Certain.
Guess what? And this is what I meant by inverting it. If Kevin is certain he doesn't want to work for someone else, think about how many options go away.
Lots of them.
People who are lost have too many options. If you're certain you don't like chips, you don't have to even go down the chip aisle. You don't have to waste your time. Versus the person in the chip aisle going Doritos or Cheetos or Fritos all of them. And I'm certain I want every one of them. No. But think about if you're certain you don't want to work for someone else, now you're also certain that you want to work for yourself. So you got to invert it. So if you're out there and you're certain that you don't want to do your job, great. That's a good place to start.
Right.
Okay. So you're certain you want to you don't want to work for anyone else, which means you're certain you want to work for yourself. You're certain you want to help people. Awesome. So far we got to work for yourself and help people, which is what you're doing. Third one, you want to be very financially successful.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. You're on track for all three of those. You're starting to understand why Kevin's life is the way it is. What's something else you're certain of?
Taryn is the one, for sure. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, honestly, that belief itself has forced me to do things,
I know.
face mirrors, communicate. Like, in a weird way, when you become certain, in this weird way, when you become certain, it's almost harder.
Go deeper.
when you know what you want, you know what you're giving up when you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, this is why I always say, if you know what you want, okay, if you are blessed enough to have gotten to the level where you know what you want, and if you're not there yet, you can get there. It just takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time, reflection, learning, self-awareness. Consistency. If you're at that place, you now know, if I don't do this, I don't get what I want.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't prospect for clients, I don't get the life of financial freedom. If I don't have the tough conversation with my business partner, we're not going to grow. If I don't show up today, I don't get paid. Like, you're going to know at a level, you're in control of your life in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also harder because the responsibility is way higher.
Way higher.
The excuses just don't sit the same because the excuses are with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I can't call out sick. There's nobody to call.
No, we were both sick last week.
Yeah.
And the week before.
And we were here doing the thing.
Every time. It's irrelevant.
So I think I want to at least give grace to anybody out there right now who's listening saying, like, I don't know what I want yet. That's fine. You're already certain that you don't know what you want, which is fine.
Start with what you don't want.
Yeah.
That's important for people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you do that with your clients, but like figure out what you don't want.
Yeah.
And that will show you what you're certain you do want. If you're certain, this is an interesting analogy. If you're certain you don't like women and you're into guys, now you know.
Right.
Now half the planet is no longer an option. Like, which gives you direction. It gives you certainty. You don't have to wonder anymore. I feel like a lot of us are out there wondering a lot, and it creates lack of action. It creates overwhelm.
Yep.
If you're not, and you're certain that Taryn is the one, so you're not worried about anything else in that department. It's almost like, and here's the thing, it becomes challenging because you have to, when you're certain of what you want, marrying Taryn, you now have to do what and become the man that can achieve that. That's challenging.
For sure.
Right? But it's not as challenging as being lost.
No.
They're both challenging, but in their own ways. I think one of them is going to require more self-discipline, more self-love, more compassion, more listening, more character. The other one is going to require more random people that you talk to or whatever. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is you go and date again. And it's like, I don't want that.
No.
You know what I mean? So you gotta contemplate the alternative. I'm also certain Emilia is the one. The last thing I want to do is go date. Are you kidding me? Can you imagine? Oh God, no. Right? And so that's a good analogy. Not only are we certain about our current women in our life, we're certain of the alternative. I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Going backwards is not an option for me.
I'm convinced that's why so many people get divorced. Because they're not uncertain they want to get married. They're uncertain they want to get married in the first place.
Right.
Like, of course you're not going to succeed long term at something that you don't know you want to do.
Right.
Of course.
And it's just what people do.
Yeah.
Right? It's interesting.
It's so.
Kevin and I, at one point, were wondering if we even wanted to get married.
sure.
Now here we are moving in with our significant others and certain of it. It's certain we want to have kids. You know what I mean? So we've come a long way. And I think it's important to get clear on what you now know about yourself. I would just say this. If you're out there listening, write down what you're certain of.
Yes.
What I know for sure. Write it on the top of the page. What I know for sure. What I know I want. What I know I don't want. And then just explore and go, oh, okay, interesting.
And you can ask yourself that through every interaction. Why do you get the same thing at the restaurant every time? Because you're certain it's good.
Exactly.
Okay, but you weren't always. You had to try some things first. Like, this kind of pizza wasn't that great. This pasta wasn't good.
Right.
But the meatball parm's amazing.
Right.
That's why I get it every time, because I'm certain. I hate meatball parm, but some people are into that sort of thing. But
Like bone-in chicken?
I will not do it. If you ever want to send some wings to the studio, please send the boneless kind.
Bone-in for me.
No. There's a place down the street called Wicked Wings. Shout out to Wicked Wings. It's the best place in the world. Boneless is the way.
And they sponsor this show. No.
Not yet.
No,
I would love if they sent us, honestly, just send us the chicken.
Right.
So that's one thing that I've seen a lot. A lot of people recently, when they reach out, I can tell that it's lack of certainty that's causing lack of action. We just have to figure out, what are you certain of that you can take action on?
Right.
I don't know what kind of pictures I want to take. Start taking pictures.
Right.
Just start taking some and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what I'm going to do at the gym. Go to the gym. Just go.
Right.
Just go to the gym. And even if you don't figure it out, like, at least you went.
Right. And you will figure it out.
You will.
You will.
You'll see something to do.
Right.
Right? I think that's it. And I do believe that taking action, at the end of the day, taking action is something that is so underutilized, and everybody has a tip or a trick for it. And I think the more sure and certain you are about something, how long has that timer gone off for? Did you even set a timer?
I did.
Did it go off?
No, it hasn't gone off yet.
How many minutes we have?
32 seconds.
Oh, okay.
24 seconds.
My Spidey brain was like, something's up here, man.
I think we're good.
Yeah, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
I would have that internal dialogue with yourself.
Right.
I don't know. I am uncertain of what I want, but I'm certain that I don't want this.
Right.
What am I certain of? That's another question. Like, this is going to be a book one day. And if you steal this out there, whatever. Whatever. It is what it is.
Whatever.
The 100 questions to change your life. The 100 questions you should be asking yourself weekly.
We should do that soon. This should be the next level book of questions. Whoa.
Delete all that. We can't have it live.
No, don't.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay,
I'm just kidding.
we're kidding. Ron and Aaron, we're kidding.
We're kidding.
The only thing, you remember when I said we're so afraid to make the wrong choice that we make no choice?
Mm-hmm.
The only wrong choice is making no choice. Nothing grows on the fence. You got to make a decision.
Vines grow on the fence.
Okay.
In fairness, the vines do grow on the fence. I hate to be that guy, but like,
if you're out there right now and you're uncertain, everyone is.
Yes.
Take action. Taking action is the only way you're going to get more certain. Send that message. Reach out to that person, that mentor, that person you want to date. If you're uncertain about whether or not you like guys or girls, try both. Yeah. Genuinely explore. It's going to be painful at times when you're finding yourself, but that's what life is. It's a dance.
In the people you see who are the most certain were also the same level of uncertain. They just tried the thing either sooner,
right,
or in a different way, or they tried it more. Like, I'm convinced of that.
Yeah.
I'm convinced. There's certain things that I don't like doing that I just won't do anymore. But there are certain things that I tried that was like, oh, this is amazing. Like speaking. The first time I spoke was like,
whoa,
wow, this is amazing. I never planned on speaking.
How different was it than what you thought it would be?
It was brutal. It was so hard. I remember my heart was beating on my chest. And I was
what
like,
about after, though?
I can't breathe. After, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm the man.
Yeah.
I spoke to damn near 50 people in my first speech. All right, we got to get out of here.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this.
Group coaching closes today.
Yeah, group coaching closes today.
Today
Our
at midnight.
first. Well, no, because it's
at 5.
It's at 5.
Okay, today at 5.
So our first call is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you are listening to this around noonish Eastern Standard Time, make sure you get in before we get this thing rolling.
Yep.
Because it's going to change your life.
NextLevelUniverse.com. Click group coaching. We just redid the entire landing page. All the information's there. Team of 10, 3 months. We're going to teach you how to get certain, how to change your life. You can't change your entire life in 90 days, but you can change your trajectory. And the trajectory will change your whole life.
$97 a month.
It's no money.
You and I went through my finances today. I spent $78 last month in coffee.
Right.
Right? Like, a lot of people do that. And again, for me, that's a bit of a mirror.
Yeah.
But I won't say even if you're uncertain. I will say especially if you're uncertain. This is for you. Because
100%.
That's one of the things we talk about heavily in this is clarity. NextLevelUniverse.com. Group coaching tab.
Hope to see you there.
We hope to see you there. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. We love you. And as always, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.